Hello Sector, welcome back to Let's Play Starmourn. Today we are going to be talking about B.E.A.S.T. This is the first in a series of videos about each class, and we're just going to move in alphabetical order, which means B.E.A.S.T. is first. In these videos, they should be quite structured unless I get off topic. We're just going to do an overview of the different skills of the class. We're going to talk about hunting rotations and the lesson investments that you should aim for. And other than that, I'll give a brief idea of what that class looks like in PvP should you choose to do that. That's everything. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. So, B.E.A.S.T. What did I do? If we type B, we see our skills here, and I'm still on Splix. I quit Scoundrel just to start with B.E.A.S.T. here, and we have three skills. MWP stands for Mobile Weapons Platform, Plasma Casting, and Suit Tech. If we click on MWP or type AB MWP, we get this list, and we see that we have Wrist Blade and Minigun. That's a good start, but we're going to need some more in MWP before we get to it. AB Plasma Casting. This is basically a plasma thrower that you have mounted to your B.E.A.S.T. suit. It's not a physical weapon, but you have a tank of plasma attached to your B.E.A.S.T. suit, and it contains plasma. And to get this to work, you have Plasma Heat Up. Plasma Heat Up, when it does, is you see here that my plasma is low. Your plasma begins to overcharge, and plasma will begin to collect. And the first bashing rotation involves burn. It's just going to be plasma burn over and over and over and over. This is right out of the gate without spending any more lessons. Now, one of the features of Heat Up, and one of the themes of B.E.A.S.T. in general, is putting your suit into all kinds of states that make it stronger for a brief period of time. So one of these is called overload. So once you get to extreme temperatures, your excess plasma generated in your suit flows into the overload tanks and triggers the overdrive protocols. Now, what's going to happen is all the plasma is going to burn off, and we are going to be dealing a lot more damage, but also receiving more damage. And this is a great skill. You can see it increases damage done by 25%, subsystem damage done by 15%, and it lasts for 30 seconds. Now, one of the sort of issues at the beginning is that once your overdrive is done, you'll be at low plasma and you'll need to heat up again. This is troublesome because each ability, so let's look at Plasma Burn, requires a certain amount of plasma. And if for some reason you don't have that plasma, then your for instance, if you're just finishing overdrive, another good example is if you're interrupting the plasma flash. This actually requires medium plasma. So something you might want to do out the gate is to ignore overloading, and to do that we're going to do resistance on. So this is going to prevent overdrive from happening. So now if we do heat up, the plasma is just going to stay at a high level, and it's going to be self-sustaining, and it's never going to send us into overdrive. That can be helpful at the start. Later on, we're going to always want to keep overdrive on as much as possible. The last skill we have is Suit Tech. So Suit Tech is abilities of things that are sort of attached to your suit, things like your radar and your jump jets, and things to keep you locked to the ground, and clamps that you have on your arms and such like things like that. So In terms of hunting rotations and lesson plans, the basic lessons invested give you access to, if you're using the Nexus Community Basher, if you watch the last video, it'll start you off with Plasma Burn, and that's actually quite a good hunting rotation. But you'll want to, as soon as you can, invest some lessons into Suit Tech. And what you want to do is invest 58 lessons to get Backhand. What Backhand does is it inflicts this affliction, the dazed affliction, onto mobs and onto people. But what dazed does is, if we type AB minigun, it says here in minigun that the damage of the ability is increased to the target is dazed or staggering, more if they are both dazed and staggering. So what this means is that you'll start a fight with Backhand, and then you'll pound them with your minigun. That is sort of the tier 2 hunting rotation. After that, you're going to want to take a moment here to go plasma casting. You're going to want to take a moment and get Flash. Just 30 lessons from the start here, and Flash is our interrupt skill. Interrupts, basically when mobs channel, they do a lot of damage, and you need to interrupt them before they do so. So if you're in Coriolis Mountains, for instance, in the beginning there are windmill drones, and they are death to so many newbies because they either don't know about this mechanic, or they simply don't have interrupts, or they can't interrupt in time. It's no problem if you have the Community Basher installed. It'll interrupt for you, but just wanted to mention you should probably take a second here to grab Flash. The next thing you're probably going to want is another interrupt. If you want to, it's not super necessary to invest 30 straight for net launcher, because we're going to be using our minigun, and the way B.E.A.S.T works is that the net launcher and the minigun share the medium slot on a B.E.A.S.T, and in order to use the net launcher we have to switch. We have to activate our sorry, dog barking. Give me a moment. Okay, we're back from docking. So your the way MWP works in general is you'll go weapon list, and you see that you have 6 different weapons, and in each slot we'll see the one that is active. And here I have the wrist blade active, the minigun active, and the railgun active. And we can switch this by going MWP switch shield, for instance. And now I replace the wrist blade. If we do weapon list again, we see that it is now the shield that is active, not the wrist blade. There's another ability which allows you to swap faster, called suit swap, but that's not a priority to learn. Usually when you're hunting, you'll have one single setup, and only for PvP do you sort of swap around a lot. So at the beginning, if you're just using Plasma Burn, this setup doesn't matter at all. But once you get into your minigun, you're going to want to have a minigun at least. And then later on, the next ability you should be aiming for is Hobble. Hobble is quite a few lessons to get to, but you can take your time getting there. And Hobble is basically an improved version of Backhand. So what we're going to be doing is, if we stats show, we're going to be investing 50 in life force, then we're going to be maxing out our regen, and then we're going to be investing into aim, which is going to be our primary damage stat as a beast. And Hobble is a high damage ability. It inflicts staggering on them. So remember how minigun deals extra damage to people who are dazed or staggering. I haven't played around with it much, but you could possibly Backhand, then Hobble, and then minigun a target to do more damage. But targets it's often better to just not waste the time and just kill the mob, at least as far as I can tell, requires more testing for sure. Now, once you get hobble, you're going to be going for dual shot. Dual shot is, I should mention the hobble uses a railgun, so you're going to want a railgun. You'll never have your missile launcher active for hunting. So railgun always. The railgun is, the dual shot rather, is a super high damage ability. It costs a heck of a lot of lessons to get to. It's the last ability in MWP, but it is very important for both hunting and for PvP. After you get dual shot, now this is a bit of a toss-up, I would say. I would say go for hobble first for sure, but you're also going to want maybe routing. This is in suit tech, and routing is basically what it does is it routes power to a certain slot. So if you suit route large, it's going to route extra power to that slot in your mobile weapon platform. So here it would, if we do suit route large, it would route power to our railgun. It's a bit of a toss-up whether you go for dual shot or routing first. I would say maybe go for dual shot first, but there's definitely an argument to be made for going route before dual shot. After you get routing, you're going to want overclock. Overclock also very high up in the suit tech list, and overclock lets you instantly regain balance. So how this works is you'll often dual shot overclock. That will cause you to basically dual shot, which has a long balance cost, and then instantly regain the balance and start hitting them with hobble. So to summarize then, to start, we're going to be just using plasma burn, and we're probably going to have resistance on, though that is not entirely necessary. Then we're going to want to be having resistance off, and we're going to want to backhand and then minigun our targets. Once we get hobble, we are going to be instead hobble and then minigun our targets. And once we get dual shot, we'll do dual shot and then hobble. Both of these are just very high damage abilities. They kill mobs very fast. Then we'll add in routing, which increases our damage further on our railgun. If you get routing before you get dual shot, you can route to your minigun to suit route medium to increase damage on your minigun. And then we'll get overclock, which just provides us with some extra balance reduction in the whole hunting routine. Other than that, we're going to be using heat up every time our overload, our plasma overload finishes. And all of this is coded into the Nexus Basher. So if you're using Nexus Basher, you don't need to worry about setting up any kind of logic for hunting. It's all in there. So I talked about stats. We're going to be doing aim. I talked about our hunting rotations and our lesson investments. And now I want to briefly talk about PvP. So what happens once you've learned all those skills? B.E.A.S.T is really some classes you can do PvP without a high lesson investment. That's not really the case with B.E.A.S.T. B.E.A.S.T, you definitely want dual shot for high burst damage. You definitely want last ability here, Incinerate, which is an insta-kill. Every class has an insta-kill once you've met a certain number of conditions. So here, for instance, if you have 4 scorched afflictions and the 60% muscular damage needed by the affliction, you can instantly kill a player. You can't use these on mobs, it has to be on a player. So a lot of B.E.A.S.T combat is about, well, 2 things. 1, damage. B.E.A.S.Ts are scary to fight against because you can find yourself at very low health very fast, and if you're not careful, and many players aren't careful, they don't see it coming, you can instantly wipe the floor with a lot of different players in PvP. A more sort of long-term sustainable approach is to attack their muscular subsystem, and I'll talk more about this in dedicated PvP videos. But the idea is that you'll take their muscular system down all the way, and then you'll either incinerate, or you'll work on their internal subsystem. If you're doing lots of damage to a target, a lot of abilities scale the damage they're doing to a target based upon their internal subsystem. So if you're hitting their internal a lot, then you'll increasingly do more damage. And once they're at low internal and muscular, you can use another insta-kill called Sunder. You need a combined total of 100% damage, 50% in muscular and 50% in internal. And that will let you instantly kill your target, if you haven't already killed them with damage, which you probably have. That's a general rundown of Beast. Other than that, you're doing a lot of stuff like heating up your plasma to overload it, overclocking, possibly changing your routing. There's a lot of cool flavor with PvP with Beast in terms of routing different power to your different things and modifying your Beast suit in different ways to make you more effective. I would say that Beast particularly excels in group combat. In group combat, they have a lot of great control abilities. One of them is MWB Protect, if you have your shield mounted. This smashes enemies out of the room and is very nice for crowd control. It's very nice for an ability called Quicksand, which the Fury has, which is a big cornerstone of group combat. Smash completely. I'm talking about Protect now, not Smash. Oh well. Protect allows you to. The ability I'm talking about now is actually Smash. This knocks people out of the room. Protect, what it does is you basically, if somebody else is the main target, if you're ally, for instance, you can protect them, and the people who are aiming at that target will attack you instead. This is a great ability. It means you're not doing damage during the time, but it really messes with your opponent's ability to prioritize targets, and it's incredibly powerful. Smash, I mentioned, will knock people out of the room. These two abilities alone make Beast very formidable to deal with in group combat. Also, just their raw high damage output means you can melt your targets in group combat very quickly. And in group combat, damage is king. So Beast, very strong very strong class in PvP. That's all for Beast. Next up, we're going to be talking about Engineer. Okay, take care.